Good morning, everybody. Good morning. It's JPR Beats 98, and today we got some interesting news, to say the least. Basically, like I said in the last video about the Zygarde form, was that at the end of these Pokemon movies, they always show a trailer for next year's Pokemon movie in Japan. As many of you know, Hoopa and the Clash of Ages came out in Japanese theaters today, and so a guy from Serebii.net was actually there, and he was able to document this. So if we read here, it actually says that this little green guy who has like one eye that's bigger than the other actually popped out of the O in the word Pokemon, where it says Pokemon the movie XY. It's kind of similar to what Pikachu used to do in the older Pokemon movies. You know, in the older Pokemon movies, they'd have like Pokemon the movie at the beginning of the movie, and Pikachu would kind of like pop out of the O. It sounds like this guy did exactly the same thing. So if we look right here, this is like one person sketch. I don't know if it's the same person who did this sketch or not, but this was like the first sketch. Here was the second sketch. It looks very basic, almost like a little Pikmin or something. I don't know. And then this was like his example of what actually happened. Like he's saying, here's Pokemon the movie XY. This was the logo on the screen. Bright green guy starts popping out. Whoa! And then he bounces, and he comes down, and then what in the audience? So yeah, basically, and then, oh yeah, and the screenshot of the Koro thing. Let's see if you guys missed that. Yeah, the Koro thing that I covered last time was these Zygarde things, and as many of you guys generously pointed this out to me, this is not two Zygarde forms. It's actually the same form, just there's a lightning bolt here, so it kind of looks like a Xerneas with antlers and whatnot, but it really isn't. So it's actually one form, not two, and we don't even know if it's Zygarde yet, to be quite honest. They still haven't confirmed anything. I still think it's Zygarde, but, you know, that's just me. You guys can disagree. I mean, nobody's wrong at this point. That's the important thing. Nobody is wrong about any of this. So anyway, let's scroll back up and let's cover this little guy. So we are going to cover a few different possibilities with this little guy. The first thing that pops into my mind is Generation 7. I know many of you guys are going to be like, oh, Generation 7, it's way too early, man. How can you be thinking about that? I mean, we just got Generation 6 like 2 years ago, but this is the second movie in the XY series, as I already said, and they're advertising for the third one now. If you go way back to like 2001, I think it was, they actually revealed Kecleon and Wailmer for Generation 3 before they actually had the Pokemon Forever movie out in Japanese theaters. Correct me if I'm wrong, because I'm not too sure. But then I know for sure in Generation 3 they had Munchlax actually be in the Destiny Deoxys movie, a Generation 4 Pokemon in a Gen 3 movie. So don't tell me it's too early, because this has happened before. The only reason they didn't do it in Gen 4 was because Gen 4's anime was like so long, and they shoved Zorua and Zoroark in there at the end for Gen 5. So basically, what I'm thinking is what they'll do with this movie is that they'll have like the Zygarde form in there, assuming it's a Zygarde form. They'll have that in the movie, and they're going to use that to kind of like tie up the Gen 6 storyline, like go along with Pokemon Z or X2, Y2, whatever's next. And then they'll also have this little guy in there to advertise for Generation 7, like it's coming, it's here, you know. And for those of you guys who still think this is a fake, if you go back to 2 years ago when Genesect and the Legend Awakened came out in the Japanese theaters, if you remember, there was actually a situation very similar to this one where in the preview for the movie they showed Trevenant, and that was Pokemon that we didn't know about yet. You know, it hadn't been revealed yet, and so people made several sketches. In fact, let me try to, there it is, right there, Oroto, because that's his Japanese name. And if you look right here, I mean, none of the sketches are exactly the same, so I'm not anticipating this to look exactly the same either. I mean, they're probably freaked out, and they only saw the thing once, so it's probably just the best possible. I mean, like I said, it's probably going to be more complex than this. You can't expect this to be the actual thing. I mean, you look at this, This one, look, this guy probably went back and saw the movie twice because he had to get another look at it. But if you look over here, the design is much more basic. If you only saw it once and you're going to report on it right away and you're still hyped, then your drawing's going to be a lot more basic, like this guy's right here. So that's all I have to say about that. This is probably not what you should anticipate. It's probably going to look a lot better, per se. So yeah, and the next possibility, someone actually posted this on Twitter, and it made me kind of laugh. But they were like, imagine if Zygarde had that giant monster form, but then it had like this little baby form too. Like, these are both Zygarde, and you know, I don't think that's the case, but it made me laugh because it reminded me of Full Metal Alchemist. If you guys have ever watched the anime, there's this character in there named Envy, and Envy has like this giant monster form that you can transform into, and he also has like this little pathetic fish thing that's like his original form. And so when somebody said that about Zygarde, it made me laugh just a little bit because it's like, oh my gosh, you can't be serious. But I don't think that's the case. I don't think this is a baby Zygarde thing. I can't see Zygarde shrinking down to this little thing, so that's not what I think. But that was what someone else's possibility was. And then the last possibility, instead of Generation 7, is actually Generation 6.5, which is something that people have actually been talking about ever since Pokemon X and Y were first released, because obviously X and Y did not have that many Pokemon in it, only 72 new Pokemon, and there's also that random train station over in Koroway Town, which leads to pretty much nowhere. So people are thinking maybe there's a region right next to Kalos, just like there was with Kanto and Johto, that you can travel to that. So I'm thinking that maybe Pokemon Z or X2Y2, that they open up Kalos, they expand it a little bit, they have Generation 6.5, and they have like 70 or 80 new Pokemon, that'll bring the total up to 150 like it was in Generation 5. That's a possibility, I suppose, but the main reason I can't see that happening is because they still haven't patched X and Y to include the Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire Mega Evolutions. So, introducing so many new Pokemon and probably Mega Evolutions as well in a X and Y sequel, and then not patching any of the previous Gen 6 games, I just can't see that happening. I mean, I know this whole Gen 6.5 thing is a big topic, but personally, I think it would just be a lot easier to just do Gen 7. So that's just me. Like I said earlier, nobody is wrong yet, and that's the more important thing. So you guys just gotta keep that in mind. So be sure to tell me in the comment section, what do you think this is? Is this like a baby Zygarde? Is this Gen 7? Is this Gen 6.5? Is it something completely different? Nobody knows, so just go ahead and let it all hang out now in the comments section. Be sure to rate, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff, and I'll see you guys next time.